Mataji, you can start.
Okay, I'm starting, but it's a very awkward situation here. I'm in the car. Hopefully, I'll be reaching in maybe 20 minutes time or so. But let's not waste any of your time, and we'll begin. We'll begin the session with some discussion. Also, I'm having an issue, connecting to the net over my laptop. So I'm on my mobile as of now, and I hope I'm clear. Each time, Krishna.
Mataji, 1 second. Mataji, can you just speak? We'll just checking the sound.
Hare Krishna, can you hear me better? Could also be because I'm on the mobile, so it may not be so clear.
Should I get my laptop?
Or do you want me to disconnect my video and just keep the audio on for a while?
Heard or not heard? Mataji, can you speak a bit now?
Hare Krishna,
Can hear?
can you hear me now?
Okay, yeah, Mataji, you can continue.
Okay. So, yes, thank you very much for coming, and my humble apologies to all of you for this delay and for this awkward situation in which we are. But Krishna each time shows that we can't rely on anything here. We just have to rely on prayers. Yes. So let us start with some prayers, invocation prayers, before we begin our discussion. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Shri Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Davaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Tuntah Pravishya Mama Vacham Prasuptam Sanjeevayatya Shakti Dharastamna Anyamshcha Hasta Charana Shravana Dvagadin Namo Bhagavate. I'm really happy that many of you all have joined here. Understand something which has become very complex. Yes, it used to be a very natural thing. Nobody needed a parenting seminar, even maybe 10, 15 years ago. I don't remember my mother ever having attended a parenting seminar or you know, me and my friends, I don't know, we started this very late. So the need is there. Things have become pretty complex. And all of us are feeling kind of the need to seek some kind of support, some answers to the confusions that we have, and also a direction, right? Also a direction as to where we are heading as parents, where our children are heading in the society, what kind of personalities we want them to grow up in, all that. Right? So, what we are going to discuss today is one, this grave responsibility. We've always heard that children are a bundle of joy and they bring you a lot of happiness. Yes, all that is very true. But along with it comes huge responsibility. As all of you know, and I'm sure all of you who are attending today's seminar know this very well. Therefore, you're here to understand it. It is a grave responsibility, and we do need some directions, right? So that's the first. So I would discuss what do our Vedic scriptures, how do they treat this responsibility of parenting? How do they look at it? What's their approach? That's one. Second, I would also look at, like we have mentioned in the message, we're looking at the age group 2 to 12, or I would even cover a bit from 0 to 12. Yes. Even before 2. But we've divided this into two sections again. So 0 to 6 would be the very formative years of a child's life, yes, of parenting for us. And then what next? 7 to 12. Then after that, or even this may not be in this necessarily in this sequence, but these are the different topics that we are going to cover. What's very interesting and what many parents find it useful is to understand what kind of parent am I. So here I would look at primarily 4 types of parenting, and then we will see where am I, where can I classify myself into? And they're not watertight compartments in that sense. Yes, you can't say, okay, I'm type A, type B, type C. No, it's not like that. But I am primarily one type. Yes, I could be that. I could be primarily one type of parent. And of course, we will see whether all these types of parenting are good enough, are the same, they have the same impact, or is there something called good and bad parenting? And obviously, I'm sure you would know this already, that there are some kinds of parenting, which parenting styles that are more effective, useful, impactful, all that. So we will see that which kind of parenting would be more helpful for our children. Yes, and then finally, towards the end, we'll give a very brief introduction to homeschooling. Okay, what is homeschooling, and very briefly about its legality, its relevance in India. We'll speak about that. I have a nice PowerPoint actually, but I am not able to share because it's not on my phone. It's on my laptop, and somehow or the other, the connection has come on my laptop. Now I can see. So while I log on to Zoom there, in the meanwhile, I'll continue my presentation on the phone, and then I will log into the system as well. Okay. So what we are seeing is from the Vedic scriptures. Now, if we have to understand from the Vedic scriptures, what do they speak on parenting? Yes, what do they talk about this responsibility of parenting? There we have a very interesting verse. It says, Guru na sasyat, svajano na sasyat. Pita na sasyat, janani na sasyat, daivam na tatsyat, patishta sasyat, na mochayeta samupeta vrityam. Not to put in Sanskrit jargon here and make us feel overwhelmed. No, that's not the point. The point is to bring out the essence of this verse simply saying that one doesn't have the right to be a teacher. One doesn't have a right to be a father. One doesn't have a right to be a mother or any person in authority unless one can actually deliver the persons who are dependent on him or her. Yes, mother or teacher, father or a husband, all of that. Deliver in the sense, deliver from the cycle of birth and death. It's a very, this verse is taking us to a different level. Many of you all might be thinking, oh, I came for a parenting session. I'm not really here to understand very complex cycle of birth and death. I'm here only to understand um, how does one be a good parent? How does one become a good parent, right? So yes, what we are talking about and what this verse is connecting, they're not really two different things. So before we go to understand how this verse is relevant to the parenting session, I want to actually hear from you, and maybe the way we can go about it, the mic can take rounds, yes, and so that I can hear. If you all have a mic, a hand mic, which goes around the temple room, to just give one quality that you as a parent want to see in your child. Okay. So very quickly, if you all can respond, or if that doesn't work, I don't mind if Viraj Prabhuji quickly types it on whatever you all say. He just types it and I get the answers. That's also a doable thing. But the question is simple. What is that one quality that you want to see in your child? And one quality each. Yes, because I'm sure there are a lot of things that we want to see in our children. But what's that one primary quality?
So would anybody like to come forward and say what is the quality that you would like to see in your child? Yeah. No?
Hare Krishna, good morning, ma'am. Yeah, I would like to see that my child, my children, they trust me and they listen to me.
I couldn't hear that. Can someone repeat?
Yeah, Madhuri, she was saying that she would like her children to trust you. To trust me and listen to me. Yeah, that is what she would like her children to do.
Okay, to trust
Trust her and listen to her.
trust the mother. Okay, trust the mother. That's nice. Okay, so become more not himself or herself trustworthy, but becomes more trustful about others, yeah, especially the mother in this case.
Sound here.
Okay.
Yeah. Mataji, can you please repeat it again?
No, I got her answer. Now can we hear more? Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Yeah, will you please answer it now? Yeah.
I can hear you all. Please. Yes, please tell me what's the next parent. What is the next quality that the next parent is saying?
Mataji, did you say something? I mean, did you answer for that or later?
No, I didn't say anything. I just repeated what the mother said.
Okay.
We go to the next parent now.
Okay, we use another mic for. Yeah, any other parent would like to share what they would like to see in their child?
They become independent, like they.
Once Prabhu, you can just come here and speak, so even Mataji can hear you. Prabhu, come here only and speak.
Hare Krishna. I would like to see my child. They are independent and they can understand what is right and wrong on their own.
Very nice. So this parent is saying that they want to see their child become more independent, in that sense, empowered, yes, to understand what's right and what's wrong. Thank you very much. Yeah, any other parents, please. Very interesting to hear this.
Okay. My kid is like 3 years old and he is pregnant. He gets angry so easily. After that, he will come, sorry, mama, I have not intended to do that. So I would like to, I always try to teach him that he don't get anger so soon, but how to control it so much. But he realizes it after an hour or so. By the time the person who have actually hurt, if it's with kids, it's more dangerous. So that's something I want to do.
Nice. Thank you very much. I got this also. So Mataji wants the child to be more calm, not very angry and throw tantrums for everything. Thank you very much, Mataji. Any others?
Hare Krishna Mataji. So I want my daughter to grow up as an honest and truthful person. Hare Krishna.
Very nice. Honesty is one big quality that we are looking in our children. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for all the answers that are coming in. Okay. Is there anybody else or should I move on?
Hare Krishna Mataji. My daughter is 7 years old. She is quite listening. She listens, but she decides what to listen and what not to listen. But so that is very difficult to handle sometimes. So I want to know how to handle those situations. And also I want her to be spontaneous. Anything comes, just accept it, and if she is interested, she wants to do, she should not be shy, little bold. Yes. Hare Krishna.
Okay, I couldn't hear very clearly this. Ashwini Mataji, if you could repeat.
Mataji, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes, Mataji. Mataji, I wanted, she listens to me, Mataji, but she decides what to listen and what not to listen when we tell her. So I want to know how to handle that situation. And the quality I want her in is spontaneous. To be
Very nice.
spontaneous.
Okay. I put the phone close to my ears to understand what exactly you are meaning. But what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you would like, she has some kind of selective hearing, yes? She doesn't listen to all that you say, but she listens to only what she wants to, and she rejects the rest.
Yes.
I would say that she has a good sense of discretion, yes? She knows what she wants in life. She has a lot of clarity. We only need to channelize that very well. But in terms of quality, you want her to be more open, perhaps. I think that's what you're looking for, with
Yes.
a more open mind, where she is more willing to listen to others, especially the parents. Okay, is that, am I right, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Mataji, one more parent.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Actually, my daughter is 8 years old. She is very emotional. I'm very scared of that. She is very much attached to her friends or even parents, and somebody doesn't speak to her or doesn't turn up on her birthday, she starts crying. I'm scared of this quality of her. It will come and go in life. And she must understand that she cannot be so emotionally dependent on anybody, including the parents. Tomorrow, even if we are not there beside her, she must be very bold and she must be able to face life.
Thank you. I got this. So what Madhavi is looking for is emotional stability, yes, among the children, which is again a very crucial quality, especially in these times when we really are witnessing a lot of emotional instability. The emotional intelligence that we talk about has gone down. So yeah, thank you very much. So yes, I am very happy that you all have listed these qualities. And if one has to look at the character traits that modern psychology is talking about, which are necessary in a child to grow up as a good human being, or as an effective personality. There are all of these what you're mentioning. Yes, somebody said honesty. Somebody spoke about emotions. Somebody spoke about open-mindedness. Somebody spoke about I think honest. Yeah, we already discussed that. Anger. Yes, somebody spoke about anger management in the sense more patient, more tolerant. And I have this slide in front of me, which I will share as soon as I reach. So character
Mataji,
trait.
two more parents want to ask.
Two more parents want to answer. Please.
Hare Krishna. My son is 5 years old, and in this fast-moving world, I want him to be patient. Like patience is very important quality, I believe. So I would like to know how to make these kids patient.
I couldn't hear.
I want my son to be patient. Like this
Patient.
fast-moving world, patience is like everybody is running low on patience. So are the kids. So I just want him to be patient. I guess that one quality might help him in future.
Yes, patience, most definitely. Yes, I heard this. Can we go to the next parent also?
Yes.
Mataji, Hare Krishna, Dhananjay ma'am. Mataji, my question is that we see kids lack a lot of empathy these days. Like in my own house, I don't see that empathy in my older one for even the younger one. So that is something that really disturbs me. Like, how can that be? And it's not like we are running after something or what. And how do we inculcate that into kids? As in being empathetic towards their own family, their friends, and the environment in which they stay.
I think I missed a few words there. I couldn't quite get them. Can someone repeat?
Mataji, my question is empathy in kids. I see that kids these days lack a lot of empathy. Like in my own house, my older one doesn't carry that kind of empathy for his younger one the way we used to carry, or the way we still carry.
Empathy. Okay, I missed the word. I got it now. Yes, empathy. Empathy is the word that you're talking about, and that's a very, very heavy quality, and really one of the a quality which is in a human being. It's most sought after, not just in the society or for humanity's sake, but also in under employability. If you look at global employability skills, there is research that's conducted on what are the skills that make a person globally employable, and one of them is empathy. What Khushbu Mataji, if I'm not wrong, I guessed the parent was Khushbu Mataji, because I've heard her voice, and she brings it out very correctly, very aptly, that empathy is something which is kind of lacking, right? So thank you. Is there anybody else also who wants to add more?
Anyone else?
Yeah, if you're finished.
Yeah, just one parent.
Sure, why not?
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
What I see, the growing kids, reaching teens, they don't know how to be grateful and how to have gratitude for everything that they get. They have got easily everything in life.
Please be louder. Be louder and speak into the mic.
Okay, so what I'm saying is, kids these days, and growing kids especially, who are reaching their teens, they have got, with God's grace, everything in life they wanted. So they don't know what gratitude is. They are not humble. They lack the sense of saying thanks and feeling, thankful for everything that they have got. So how do we make them feel, that if they're getting something they're blessed, then they should value. They should value every relation, every feeling, and everything that they've got in life.
Yeah, thank you. I think the quality that you are mentioning, put in one word, would be gratitude.
Yeah.
Will I be right by saying that, Mataji?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, right. Gratitude. Thank you. Very nice. I think, I must thank all your parents, not just for making an effort to come to this session, but you're adding so much value to this discussion by so thoughtfully putting these points, what you all want. You have just mentioned gratitude and empathy and patience and all of these, right? And very rightly, these qualities are sought after, like I said, not just by the society in general, not by the people around us, not by you as parents specifically, but globally, even for employment opportunities, right? So we are not wrong in identifying these qualities. So where I started with a verse which is talking about, you know, helping our children get out of the cycle of birth and death, and now we spoke about these qualities. Seems like a disconnect, yes, but no. Like I mentioned, there isn't any disconnect, because the Vedic scriptures, they mention that very simple. There is a simple link here. What's the link? Who can actually break out of the cycle of birth and death? The one who becomes a devotee. Yes, the one who develops a devotional culture, a devotional character. That's the one who can actually break out. So what? So why does so big deal? Now, what about that? How does it still connect to the qualities? So the next link is that the scriptures, the Vedic scriptures, talk about 26 qualities of a devotee. Yes, 26 qualities of a person who develops these devotional characteristics. Yes, the moment you have this devotional culture around you and a devotional mood within you, you develop 26 qualities. And these 26 qualities are listed in our scriptures. Very interestingly. In fact, I'm conducting a research on this particular topic, which is why it is very appealing to me. So these 26 qualities that I mentioned, and I will display that on the screen, and I'm very close to the center now. One of them is he's very kind to everyone. He does not make any enemy. And you listen to these qualities very carefully, and you see if they're more than what you all have listed, and if there is anything that you have missed. He is truthful. He is equal to everyone. No one can find fault in him. He is magnanimous. He is mild. He is always clean. He is without the sense of mind possessions. He works for everyone's benefit. He is very peaceful. He is surrendered to Krishna or God. He has no material desires or obsessions. He is very meek. He is steady. He controls his senses. He does not indulge in anything more than required. He is not influenced by illusion or, let's say, peer pressure. He offers respect to everyone. He does not desire to be respected always. He is grave, merciful, friendly, poetic, expert, and silent. These are the 26 qualities. Yeah, they may not have all sunk in, but we'll display this on the screen for you to really ponder that this is so wonderful. If our children develop these qualities, yes, and these need to be all like one in one package. Is it ever possible? And that's the idea of today's session, today's parenting seminar is not another motivational seminar. It's not another seminar which is just talking on very shallow grounds. Yes, that's not to boast about myself, but boast about what the Vedic culture has to offer. Right? If one actually looks deeper, the Vedic culture always looks at any topic or issue from the root. Right? It doesn't address anything on the surface. Yeah. So if we have some kind of a boil somewhere, the way you would treat it in probably in two ways. Yeah, one, you would just apply some cream and stuff and then maybe get rid of it. But the other would to figure out what's the root cause of this boil. Yes, is there something wrong in my diet? And that would be treating it from the root, right? Similarly, we are looking at parenting as something which is not just looking at it from the surface, but looking at it deeply, right? Deeply in the sense that trying to understand that if we want children the way you all have listed, yes, with the qualities that you all have listed, if we want that, then what is the solution? How do we go about it? And here I have reached your center. So maybe I should pause this and I'll walk inside and then we will continue. Okay, thank you. I have my PPT here. I'll give Pranav. Yeah. Very sorry. We had a very interesting. Yes, if you look at. Here I have to unmute myself. No, I think he has another mic. Yeah. But I hope there is an echo. This is clear, I think. Okay. Okay. So here We can see the character trait. Still have an echo. Yeah, I may have to then follow on it. Let's see how it's okay. Yeah. Okay, Hare Krishna. I hope now we have a smooth discussion. After the character traits, I shared with you all the 26 qualities, and I read out all of them. And I'm sure you all agree that these are the qualities that we're looking in our children. Yes, we're looking for in our children. So, having said that, this was basically to get kind of an introduction or a background, an initial push to understand the gravity of this important responsibility of parenting. Right? What does Srila Prabhupada say about this? And Srila Prabhupada, as you can see here, is the founder Acharya of ISKCON, and all of these discussions are based on his teachings. Would anybody like to read this quickly? Anybody can read this from the screen?
5-year-old child can be trained and within a very short time, that he becomes by realization of Krishna's consciousness. Unfortunately, this training is lacking all over the world. It is necessary for the leaders of the Krishna consciousness movement to start educational institutions in different parts of the world with very few hours. Starting at the age of 5 years, such children will not become babies or spoiled children of society. Rather, they can all become devotees of the Lord. The face of the world will then change over.
Thank you. So what we can understand from here is the kind of importance that's given to this particular process of passing down this devotional culture. Yes, many of you all may be not so familiar with this word of Krishna consciousness, but the whole idea is only this much. The idea is, what kind of devotional culture are you inculcating in your child? Right? And we saw that this devotional culture has a direct relationship with the qualities. And you intuitively, please think about it. How is it possible that we give them a very, very materialistic environment, an extremely mundane environment, and expect our child to have some of the qualities that you all listed, which were very divine? Yes, in terms of honesty, truthfulness, empathy. How is it even possible that we expose them to an environment which is extremely mundane, extremely material? Yes, and then say that no, but this is not what I want you to become. I want you to have divine qualities. Seems like a paradox. Therefore, we understand one has to develop these devotional qualities. But let's look at the types of parenting that I mentioned to you all. So there are basically 4 kinds of parentings that we will discuss. And we'll start with something which is really the worst kind of parenting. Yes, which is a complete no-no, the worst type of parenting. So here we see the 4 kinds of parenting. The first one is neglectful parenting. And as the word suggests, it's quite clear, as the word suggests, neglectful parent is the parent who is extremely busy. If not busy, then is lost, in the sense that doesn't want to spend any time whatsoever with the child. And what happens in such a case? Yes? Why is this parenting the worst kind of parenting? Please understand that as parents, we have a great responsibility that I've been repeating over and over again. But what is it that's so important quality that a parent, this process of parenting gives out, which we're all trying to learn in our devotional life as well? Yes, what is that very most important quality? What is it that we are
one quality just stands apart in this process of parenting. What is it? Okay, time.
Being emotionally attached to the child.
Emotionally attached to the child.
Security. We can share anything what they want. Absolutely.
Yeah. All this put together in one word is simple: love. Isn't it? It's love. That a big thing that we are teaching the child. Not just giving, but it's also teaching the child what is love. Yes, and that's all what you all have said. Time, and letting this child have a sense of security, and feeling the child, making the child feel so comfortable to share anything. And that's all that is, just a subset of this big set of love. Right? So if a parent is neglectful, then the biggest problem that happens here is the child is unable to learn love. So the child is unable to learn how to love others or how to love himself or herself. And that's the biggest issue. Yes, when the child's self-esteem goes down, the child doesn't know his or her own worth. Agree? Yes, when you don't love yourself, when you haven't learned to love anybody as well, because you've always felt neglected, then the first thing that you respond to is also by neglecting others. You're not giving a sense of comfort, assurance to anybody, right? And that just kind of neglectful parenting, even the psychologists here, I have quoted here David Coleman, a clinical psychologist. You can Google him up. And he says, up to the age of 3, the primary thing that you really want children to gain is a sense of security in their attachments. The more the child can be at home with their parents, the better. This is a statement not of, a conservative person. So supposedly, yes, talking from only one perspective, you might say, traditional and this and that. No, he's a psychologist who is speaking very, very objectively. And our own Manusympathy says a mother is 10 times more important than a father. Sorry for this, but in the sense of the growing up of the child, a mother is 10 times more. Why am I even mentioning this? Is that on the one hand, see, we are in a society where women need to work outside of home, or they are working outside of home. I myself am. But not in the formative years. When the child needs, unless there is a financial need, unless there is something so pressing, there isn't any discussion about, equality and, father playing an equal role, father also has to take a responsibility. All that is fine. All that is all right, except. But the consequence, the result, who is facing? The child. The mother has to be involved. The mother has to take the primary responsibility. That doesn't mean the father doesn't have. Yes, it simply means that the father has to facilitate this. That's a bigger responsibility. Is the father facilitating this? That letting the mother spend time with the child, give all that energy and all that's needed, that's something which is the father's responsibility as well. So mostly what happens in case of a neglectful parent, the child doesn't learn to love, like we mentioned, is emotionally deprived. One thing is to be deprived physically in terms of food, or we see that, right? Some of them, I used to be associated with a school for a long period of time as as part of the management, and there I saw that some of these 2186. Oh, well, 2186 has to be removed, I believe. 2186. So I saw these children who probably had not eaten breakfast and come. They were starving. I've seen children who come with nails so long, not cut, unkempt, yes, with hair and all, with clothes, dirty clothes and stuff. A very clear sign of physical deprivation, right? That physically the child has not been taken care of. So these are obvious. But what about the emotional deprivation? Will not be so obvious. And not be so obvious now. Will be visible only much later. You know, a psychologist shares this. I heard this from one of my friends, and she was saying that there was a full-grown man who came to her and said that I just want to get lost. I don't want to exist anymore. You know, he had these suicidal tendencies, and she was trying to counsel him. So when she found out deeper and deeper, she dug. What she realized was this man, when he was a boy, his mother often used to tell him, just get lost. Get lost. Leave me alone. Get lost. So this thing has impacted him so much that he is lost. He's totally lost. And after, so many years, it's come up in different ways. So again, not to make us feel that he kind of shaken up, but to understand that parenting is a great responsibility, and being a neglectful parent is something so dangerous, because in this case the child ends up not just with low self-esteem and forget about becoming a good human being, what to speak of becoming a devotee or having devotional qualities. That is out of the question, right? Next, we speak about who's a liberal parent. Liberal parent is almost like the other side of the same coin. Yes, one side is a neglectful parent and the other side is the liberal parent, who says that you do what you want as long as you don't cry. You do whatever you want. So typically, you will see liberal parents are almost like neglectful parents, where they feel that giving the mobile is the next best thing that you could do feel that mobile is such a wonderful invention in this entire. Yeah, you feel that way many a times, especially when you're helping the child eat. Yes, when you're feeding the child, you feel mobile is a blessing, TV is a blessing, laptop is a blessing, because it's only during that time that the child is eating peacefully. Yes, you don't know what all is going on in the mind and the heart of a child. So liberal parenting is dangerous simply because here again, just as a neglectful parent did, the liberal parent is also not helping the child to discern from what is right to what is wrong. There's no sense of understanding given. Correct? And what happens? The child is so confused, and I can tell you of somebody very close in the family, because the father was brought up in an environment which was very regimental, very, very strict. So the father, he decided that no, I will not do this to my child, because my father was so strict. I'm not going to be strict at all. I let my child do whatever he wants. And this child grew up with a lot of facilities, and it's okay, you can do this, you can do that. Do you think a lot of this kind of a freedom, which led to, when he reached his grade 12, so late, when he reached his grade 12, this child, now 17 years old, 16, 17 years old, just refused to go to school. He was a topper in the 10th. Just refused to go to school. Every other day he said that I have a stomach pain and I have a this and I have that. And gradually they realized his hands used to become wet, in the sense with sweat, perspiring, anxiety. So much anxiety he used to get simply thinking of going to school or meeting with people. And then that's when they decided to consult a psychologist. And they realized what they found out, that he was diagnosed with acute depression from grade 9, which was discovered pretty late. Again, this is to just impress upon you, and this is true. I'm telling you, very true cases only that I have. So this is again to impress upon you only this much, that we might feel that this is the best, just let the child be. Let him be free or let her be free. But a child needs some framework, some boundaries, something to understand that this is right. Yes. So the next one is the authoritarian parent who says you have to do because I'm telling you. And a lot of us are guilty of this, especially the fathers, I guess. Yes, they just can't tolerate any opposition. Yes, like our political parties, no opposition parties to exist. Yes, it's like that. Says nobody dare say anything against the rule of the house, which is set by the head of the house. What happens in this case, which is a very strict environment? So till the child is this much, it's still okay. The child is doing. But when the child hits teenage, that's when the child will actually tell you. Yeah, another announcement.
Sorry, 7096.
7096. I'm sorry too. So when the child hits teenage, that's when he will tell you who you are. Yes, he will tell you everything about you and wouldn't want to do anything, nothing actually. So, we will discuss as we come to that particular age group. Many of you all feel that, no, but it's important, right, to discipline. How else will the child understand? One has to be strong, and one person, at least in the family, has to be extremely strict. So let's understand what is discipline and what is being strict. Are they the same things? Yes, punishing and being disciplined, are they the same thing? Discipline and punishment are often in India considered synonyms. They're not. They're not synonyms at all. Yes, we'll see that. So if we want to bring up children who don't become rebellious, yes, or we want to bring up children who don't have low self-esteem, or we want to bring up children who have very low sense of self-worth and confidence. We want our children to become so confident, isn't it? And we all, if I had given a lot more time to share, I'm sure we had a long list of what we want our children to, what qualities we want them. And one I have heard very commonly is confidence. We want them to be bold and confident. And how is it even possible when the home is always like one? You will not cross this boundary at all. Yes, you should not cross this boundary. I'll tell you a little story again. This is being told by there's a doctor, Ayurvedic doctor called Leeladhar Gupta. So I heard this story. It was from someone who was telling this story. So this Ayurvedic doctor, Leeladhar Gupta, he stays in Govardhan, Vrindavan. And he was saying that he was brought up in an extremely regimented, very strict environment. Very, very strict. His father was very strict. So when he grew up and had to go outside to study, he went to Jaipur to study for his father. He also is an Ayurvedic doctor himself, and his father was also an Ayurvedic doctor. So he went to Jaipur to study. And that's when the first thing that came to his mind is, I will go out and watch movies. Because he was never allowed to watch a movie at home. So he said, first opportunity I got, I said, I will go to the cinema hall. I would watch. For us, it's very common now, but during those days, it was not so common, and also in small places. So he went to the cinema hall, and he says that I sat there and I was so excited that now something is going to be played on the big screen is never seen. He said, but in 5 minutes after the movie began, what did I see on the screen? My father's face. He said, my father's face was all over the screen, looking at me very compassionately, but disapproving. Yes, I sat there for some more time, but I said, never mind. I just can't sit seeing my father's face anymore. I got up, I went out of the cinema hall, I never entered. Why? But that brings us to the next form of parenting, which we all feel that, am I saying not to be disciplined means to be liberal? What is it? Shouldn't I be strict? No. You have to be assertive. who is an assertive parent, one who has both discipline and love go together. What Leela Gupta, Dr. Leela Gupta was training. His father was strict, all right, but how it goes with love. And we all feel that does love our children. Yes, we also love our children. Yes, of course we do. But how are we showing it? An assertive parent actually takes the time out to say what you're supposed to do and what you're not supposed to do. Explain. Not like, this is a rule, aaj mera mood hai. Aaj mera mood nahi. So the child is like, aaj mood hai, aaj mood nahi. Yes. So the child is busy gauging parents' moods. And then what does the child learn? Manipulate. And manipulate karte. Aaj kya karte? Aaj impressed. Like this. This is what they do, especially to the fathers. Right? They learn it better. They learn it faster. Where we are talking, we are saying that we want qualities of honesty, truthfulness, all that. But what are we teaching? We're teaching them to manipulate. But instead, how about having certain rules in the house which are consistent? They're consistent. You can make a rule, sit and explain your child why you're doing this. Not that your child is going to understand everything in terms of deep philosophy. They'll understand. But they won't understand, the kind of scenario you would say health concerns, this, you will have a lot of fun. Obviously, as a parent, you know much better, right? Much better. No, I've seen sometimes parents feel that it's very cool to become friends with their children. So the Vedic scriptures also talk about it, but they talk about it for a certain age group. There's a very beautiful verse by Chanakya. Says that Lalayet Panchavarshani, Dashavarshani Kamayet, Prapte tu Shodashe Varshe, Putre Mitra Vanachare. This, for the first 5 years, pamper the child. Lalayet, pamper the child. What does it mean, pampering? Doesn't mean that you make him one spoiled tyrant brat. Yes. Right? Array, 5 saal tak pura dimag kharab karke, but totally ruin the peace of the product. Not that. It means that the child is free from certain responsibility. It doesn't feel that, to take care of so many things in terms of earning and cleaning and this. No, we don't want that. We want the child to grow up in a sense of secure environment. That's the first 5 years. And I'll discuss about it. I have those slides also, so let me not jump in. But the point that I was making is, don't treat your child as a friend yet. Yes. Friendship is kept later, and also a parent can never be a friend to the child. A parent is a parent. Yes, friend in the sense, yes, there's a different understanding of how you can be a friend to a child who has reached 16 years of age. That's what Chanakya Pandit says, and that's very practical. And this age, of course, may differ from child to child because every child has a different level of maturity. Sometimes children are very mature. Sometimes they need more time. That's okay. But as a parent, we need to understand when I can now give in, yes, and not be a tyrant. So, an assertive parent we are discussing is very, very important to understand this form of parenting, because this is the type of parenting that we should aspire for. It's one who takes time out, one who doesn't depend upon his or her moods, but is consistent. One who shows by example. Yes, it's so important, right? So often we do this. We talk about truthfulness, honesty. And when the ticket collector asks your child's age, you reduce it by 3-4 years in front of the child. Yes, right in front of the child. And the child is like, oh, is it? I've learned this. The child is learning more by example than what you're telling. This is something very, very you should accept it. No matter how much you speak to the child will hardly learn anything. What your actions are, the child will learn like this. So, you might say that, chanting, focus, the devotees, all of us, we do this, focus in your japa morning. And then we are on one hand mobile, on one hand this. Finished. The message is very, very clear. Yes, that okay, it's okay to do this. The parents are saying, but it's okay to cheat. So showing by example becomes very important. When this assertive parent spends time with the child, explains to the child, and serves as a good example to the child begins to, like somebody said, empowerment. Somebody said about that, who was it? Empower the child to understand what's right, what's good, what's not good. Somebody said that, who was that? You know. Thank you. Such an important quality that is. Empowering the child to understand what is good and what is not. Because the child is always observing. Remember, children are CCTV cameras everywhere. They're just there. Yes, no matter what you're doing, they're observing you. So how you're responding in every situation, they're observing you. And that, now it's difficult because we are just a small family, a nuclear family. In earlier days, they had a huge family and they knew, okay, who to observe. And they learned a lot of, maybe sometimes wrong things also, depending on who's there in the family. But what they did learn was, okay, there are certain elders in the family who others respect, they obey. And these elders, they were people of character. Yes, they were people of character. So these children knew that, okay, the rest are at least trying to learn. But that's the role model. Now it's just us in front of them. And we are falling short more often than not. Right? So if we want them to really develop this ability to think, develop also a high sense of self-esteem, also feel secure, cared for, contribute, all of these things, contribute not just to the family, but to society as a whole, all of these things. Then assertive parenting is what it is. And we will, as we discuss more and more, these things will be clearer. So does somebody want to read this? Drops of Nectar again. I have these slides in between. Drops of Nectar, Varsha Prabhupada. Who wants to read? Anyway.
I'm deeply surprised that you want to give up your child to some other person, even they are also devotees. For you, child worship is more important than daily worship. If you cannot spend time with him, then stop the duties of puja. At least you must take good care of your son until he is 4 years old. And if after that time you are unable anymore to take care of him, then I shall take care. These children are given to us by Krishna. They are Vaishnavas, and we must be very careful with them. These are not ordinary children, they are Vaikuntha children. And we are very fortunate we can give them chance to advance further in Krishna consciousness.
Thank you.
In Krishna consciousness. That is very great responsibility. Do not neglect it or be confused. Your duty is very clear.
Thank you. So again, this is again directed to children who were born in devotee families, in the sense those who were very seriously practicing their spiritual life, devotional lives. And what Srila Prabhupada here is saying, that some of us might feel that, oh, I have very important things to do, like Aarti in the temple, or I have other things related to my own devotional life. But Srila Prabhupada is saying that the most important thing for you to do now is child worship, not deity worship. Yes? Again, to bring out the whole point that an assertive parent understands this. An assertive parent is the one who's giving out time for his or her child. Very, very consciously understanding that this child is not an ordinary child. Yes, and that doesn't mean that we're not talking about we're not talking in the sense that we should not give time to other children. No, the whole point is only this much. The essence is only this much. That the parent will definitely have to give time out to the child, considering this as an important, most important step. So now, having discussed the 4 kinds of parenting, I don't know, normally in the previous seminar there, I gave some time out for questions now, but I'm not sure how you all have placed. Is there time now for questions, or should we keep it to the end? Ashwini, end, because we're already running short of time out. So now what we are going to talk is keeping this information at the back of our minds. And like I said, these are not watertight compartments. Yes, all these forms of parenting, all of us have. And on different days, we act differently. But our aspiration should be that we should become an assertive parent, not a liberal parent or a neglectful parent or an authoritarian parent. That's how it is. So now what we're going to talk is, okay, keeping this background, how am I going to transfer the values? I want to transfer certain values. How am I going to transfer these values? So ordinarily, we would have heard that, anyway, child has a destiny, is born like this. This is the karma, right? That's one factor that affects the child. Or sometimes we also talk about association. We have to say that what kind of association is around, it's beyond my control. And the third thing that we're going to discuss here is samskaras. You've heard so much about samskaras. Yes, in our Indian families, in our cultures, we keep talking about samskar. What exactly does it mean? Kya hota hai samskar? We will discuss what exactly is samskar and how we are important. So, what we are going to for is, it's not karma or association as much as samskaras. Karma plays a role, of course. जो मैंने किया है वो तो भुगतना ही पड़ेगा. Yes, every child who comes in this world is, you might say, a bundle of joy, but also is a bag of karma. Yes, is also a bag of. They are coming with their own karma, whatever they have done, and we are here to facilitate, to either enjoy with them or to suffer. Yes, we are here. That's a deal that we've already made. Association. Yes, association will also influence the way we grow up, the kind of personality we develop into. But samskaras, very important, are the mental impressions that we are ingraining into the child in their formative years. Sanskar we understand in typically Indian culture as different rituals, ceremonies. This is we call, maybe we begin with Namkaran Samskar, where you are giving a name to the child. Then you have Annaprashan Samskar, where you are giving food to the child the first time. Then you have Upanayan Samskar for some of you all. Then Vivaha Samskar. These are all samskaras. These are all different ceremonies. But what do they mark? What do they indicate? So a samskar is when you are actually imprinting certain impressions onto the child. You are imprinting certain impressions in terms of their experiences. वो क्या देख रहे हैं, क्या सुन रहे हैं, क्या संस्कार दे रहे हो जो उनके दिमाग में बैठ जाएगा. Yes, so these impressions, they are so important. These mental impressions are like programs. जो अंदर आप कंप्यूटर के फीड रहता है, there's some program within the computer. All of you know. I don't know how many of you all here are IT professionals. You all know. So they are like programs which are there. And all that past karma is like that script in the program. वो लिखा हुआ है. And association is going to influence that also. Yes, association is going to influence those programs. But samskaras are, what I have mentioned here, emotionally colored memories. Emotionally colored memories, the impressions which the child gets, especially till the age of 7. Till age 7, whatever impressions are going into the child's mind. A very simple thing. A very simple thing, for instance, there are continuous fights happening in the house. That's it. Yes. Now, this is common. All of us know, as adults, that we will not agree with everything. There will be fights. Husband and wife will fight. For us, it is normal. For us, it is nothing that is going to affect so much. But for the child, it's a huge impact. It's a big impression that is going into the mind. So what do we do about it? This is one example. This is just one example where the child is seeing something, where the child is observing very unpleasant scenes. In the Vedic culture, the samskaras are such that right from the beginning, the child feels welcome. Okay? For example, there is something called as the Garbhodhan Sanskar. This is even before the child enters the womb. Can you imagine? Can you imagine the kind? And we say that, oh, this is how outdated Vedic culture. It's so forward looking. It's actually so dynamic in that sense. That we are looking at welcoming the child even before the child is entered. And how do we do that? We welcome the child by keeping, the mother keeps the consciousness very good. The father keeps the consciousness very good. And then it goes on to say that what does the mother see? What does she drink? What does she eat? What does she speak? All of these things are impacting the child's growth. Therefore, there is very clear explanation of what the mother should do and what she should not do. But nowadays, it's very unfortunate that we have a situation where maybe not so much in India, but mothers outside, they even drink alcohol, right? Because they always get drunk. So I mean, imagine a child becoming an alcoholic even in the womb. What is the status of this child? What do you think the child will grow up with? What kind of a personality are you expecting the child to evolve into? Okay, but that's an extreme example. But you think our India is far behind? What kind of things we watch? Yes, what do we eat? Which, very, very rarely our mothers told that, okay, please don't watch these kind of violent movies or, movies that they agitate your mind so much. Or please don't eat this kind of food. It's all important. Why? Because there is so much importance given to that child who's coming, which is taken so casually nowadays, so casually. And then when the child turns out to an individual who is difficult to handle, very violent, very with strange desires and obsessions, you wonder, हुआ क्या? मैंने ऐसे क्या दिखा? इससे क्या दिया इसको? क्या खिलाया मैंने इसको? This is something which one has to acknowledge, that no, everything that we do is actually creating an impression on the child's mind. Therefore, even when the child is born, there are so many ceremonies just for this. The ceremonies are there so that the child grows up with so many positive impressions, that the child is in a position to contribute positively to the family, to the society, to the country, to the world. But instead, it's so difficult. When we give out a lot of negative impressions to the child, very rarely can the child contribute anything constructively. And therefore, you come across children who, just the other day, somebody was telling me, Mataji, these days, children, they're so cruel. She used the word cruel. Look around you. That's true. Children have developed so much cruelty in them. They don't respect their parents at all. They don't respect their teachers at all. And teachers, on the other hand, or even parents, on the other hand, they're also not worthy of respect. Correct? Because we are not setting the right examples. We are not setting the right values. So, how you think will the child understand that this is for you and this is for me? For example, you tell the child that no, this movie is for me. This movie अच्छी नहीं है. ये मैं देख सकती हूँ, तुम नहीं देख सकती. The child wonders, ये अच्छी नहीं है तो ये माँ देख सकती है. So what is it? Do you understand the conflicts that we're creating in the mind of the child? So many conflicts. This, so many children, they said that no, you can't drink or smoke till the age of 18. So after age of 18, this is bad for my health. After 18, I can spoil. Till 18, okay. What sense does it make to the child? Nothing. We have so many double standards. Simple things. This is not even very common. We're talking about deeper values of empathy, ye wo nahi baat kar rahe. Simple points we are trying to discuss as to how every step we are confusing the children. Yeah, therefore, samskaras are meaning impressions, purification energy. Like I've mentioned here, these good impressions may actually help even eradicate bad karma among children. You know, it may help children evolve much more. Now, yeah, so the title of that slide was, are you bringing up a Prahlada or are you bringing up a Hiranyakashipu? Yes, for those who know, Prahlad was a devotee, whereas Hiranyakashipu's own father was completely atheistic. And he was so self-centered. Right? So it all depends on us. It's so easy to give samskaras, these impressions, because children are extremely pliable. They're moldable. They're like sponge. They're like clay. आप किस तरह से shape करना चाहते हो, उस तरह से shape हो जाए. They'll shape in that way. Right? So it's you might feel that, oh, it's difficult to give samskaras. No, it's easy, positive or negative. But the choice is yours, right? Yes. So the three ways here I have listed, how do you transfer these positive values? One is to always give them positive triggers about the values that you want to pass. Yes, some positive trigger. For instance, somebody said that I want my child to become more kind or compassionate, empathetic. So what are the what positive trigger are you giving? Probably just connecting the child with somebody who is kind, being kind yourself. But somebody who is a role model like that is such a positive trigger. You know, we want our children, a lot of your devotees, they want their children to develop devotional values. Yes, they want them to start chanting, or they want them to sing nicely for the Lordships. They want so many things, so many devotional qualities. But what happens? They come to the temple and they're shooed away. Look, all the time we keep saying this. So what do the children, how do they connect? This temple means we have to just be outside somewhere playing, making noise on our own, basically. Our parents don't even care for us. That's such a wrong trigger here. I'll tell you one more incident like this, where there was, this Mataji was sharing. She's sharing that when I was small, my mother used to go to temple. Okay, this is in Russia. I lived in Moscow for quite some time. And so this mother, she used to go to the ISKCON temple there in Moscow, Russia. Russian. And her daughter is sharing that I never liked going to the temple. I never liked going to the temple. I didn't like anything there. I didn't like the long hours of lecture that used to go on there. This, that, she was good. But I used to go every week for this one Mataji. Why? Because there's one Mataji, she used to, every time I go to the temple, she would come to me. She would say, oh, you come today, you're wearing such a nice frock. You know what I brought for you today? See this sheet. You will color, it's in color with me. I brought a nice set of crayons for you. And this girl said, I used to go to the temple only to see her. I would not play with any of the other girls and boys, nothing, but I would go looking for this Mataji, where she is. Because I know she would give me attention. Now, some attention, right? Now this girl is an initiative. Why? Because of this one Mataji. Such a positive trigger. How much important it is for us to become positive triggers to all those little children running around here. Yes, it's important. It's in our hands. How are we treating them? And then good and relevant engagement is the second thing. Like I said, don't let them be on their own, but engage them properly. Whatever value that you want to transfer. Somebody said anger. Yes, how are you addressing it? We'll look at it that also. Now, what we'll go is these three S's that I'm going to mention. And this, we are talking for the age group, especially 0 to 6. Yeah, 3 S's. And the 3 S's are, I'll list those 3 S's and then we'll talk about it in detail. The first S is on story. Okay, stories. The second S is on shlokas. And the third S is on songs or music. I just kept it songs because it goes with the S. So the first S which is stories. Don't ever underestimate the power of stories. An assertive parent will take time out to tell stories to the child, because stories are windows to the world that you want to expose your child to, whichever world that is. And here, especially, we're talking about the spiritual world, in the sense that child understands that, oh, wow, this is so nice. And I'll tell you a story. Let me tell you a story quickly. How much time do we have, Ashwini Mataji? Okay, so we have time. So let me tell you. I can continue. Good. Okay. So let me tell you this story of little Krishna. All of you love Gopal, yes? All of you love Kanha. And this is a story of his very famous butter stealing pastime. And so, little Gopal one day wakes up. This small, he wakes up and immediately runs out of the house and knocks at the door of a gopi, neighbor. And she opens the door and he's still rubbing his eyes. And she says, Kanha, what happened? Why are you here early morning? She says, oh, Maya has sent me to bring a big pot of butter from your house because some sadhu and Sant Babas are coming home. She wants to serve. So this gopi is so happy. She says, is it? Sadhu Sant Babas are coming to your house today and Yashoda Maya has actually sent you to my house to bring butter? Butter. And she brings a big pot of butter for her. She says, can you hold this? He says, I'll try. And he catches it. And she says, wait. And just also give some mishri. Give some mishri for serving with butter. And tell your Maya to tell all the sadhu babas to bless my family also when she's serving. He says, okay. He's still rubbing his eyes and yawning away. Takes the butter pot and keeps the mishri on top. And walks out. And the gopi very happily, she closes the doors, thinks it's one of the most fortunate days that Yashoda Mai, she is Yashoda Mai and the Baba are supposed to be the king and queen of Vrindavan. So she feels very happy. And Kanha walks out, goes out and immediately, oh, he calls. And all his friends come out from everywhere. And they're so thrilled, says, Kanha, first thing in the morning. Says, yes, I got a big booty today. Right there. They say, come, we'll sit and eat. And say that right here in front of the house. Let's at least go towards the side and corner behind the tree. Let's sit here. That's the fun. Who's going till there? Sit. And she's given mishri also. They all laugh. Mishri also is there. So they all start eating very happily. All these little friends of Kanha, all of them are there. And not just the friends, the monkeys also. You all know, yes, Kanha is incomplete without all of these animals. All of them come and they're having a great time. And in some time, this gopi inside, she hears much noise outside. What's going on? She opens the door. What does she see? She sees Kanha with all her friends sitting nicely, happily digging their hands into the pot and eating away. And she gets curious. She said, Gopal, how dare you do this? Only morning you come home and you steal butter from me. From me like this, I give. From my own hands, I gave you butter. This is the are you sadhu Sant Baba? Such a liar you are. And Gopal says, yeah, sadhu Sant Baba. He shows all his friends. He says, not sadhu. There is this little boy, Gopal's friend, who's not even wearing clothes. He's sitting there and he's busy digging deeper into the pot because he knows everybody is busy now. Abhi time hai mera. But still then he was not getting the chance to dig in properly. Everybody was bigger than him and he's the smallest there. He doesn't even have clothes. He's so small and he's digging deep and still he's not even seeing the gopi has come. He's busy. So this gopi looks at her. He says, Sadhu. Yes, Sadhu. He says, they're all sadhus. He says, you're feeding your friends, these rascals, you're feeding them. They said, they're not rascals, they're all sadhus. He says, okay, wait, I'll bring a danda and I'll give them dandagats now to all your sadhu friends. And she goes inside to get a stick and Gopal with all his friends run away from them. This is a little story. It brought so much smile on your face, isn't it? So what I am suggesting, please tell these kind of stories to all your friends. Yes, to all your children, all your friends, so that they tell their children. This is so important that you share. You share as much as possible about these stories, which are like windows to the spiritual world. That we want our children to know something from the scriptures, but we don't tell them. Yes, we don't tell them anything. We ourselves don't know what are we going to tell them. Just look at these beautiful pictures that are there. Show them those pictures. You know, when my child was small, when my children were small, when they would eat, my child used to, he was just 2 years old, and he would carry the Srimad Bhagavatam when it is lunchtime and quickly bring it and keep it in front of me while I would feed him lunch. Because then, there are so many pictures and he knows that I'll tell. It's like a live TV going on for them. But now we have taken the easy way out. Yes, and we show them everything on mobile. I discourage that completely. Right? Stories are such a powerful way of transferring the values that you all want to. Right? Yeah, so I've already mentioned about this. Stories also give them role models. Stories from the scriptures, they give them role models, which nobody else is able to provide them. They're getting role models like maybe Holy, yes, or batsman, or Spider-Man, Batman. Yes, because we are helpless. Unless, please understand that we're kind of competing with Spider-Man and Batman. We're competing with internet. We're competing. It's hard. Unless we find out stories which are appealing, interesting, with a lot of pictures, and it's impossible to divert their attention. And then what do they get? What do they get listening to Spider-Man and Superman and I don't know which man? Hanuman is better. Yes, we have to tell them that because they have these very subtle qualities of devotion, of culture, that's totally missing there. Yes, Spider-Man now, when they're small, maybe they're watching cartoon, but then when they become bigger, they watch the real movies of Spider-Man, which is nonsense, which is total trash. Then what again they see? They see only lust. They see only violence. This is what they see because they've grown up with that, and they can only relate to that. Right? But how about because when they grow up, it doesn't take time for them to learn all of these things. They quickly will learn, see everything. But if their roots are strong, if you have given them Krishna, if you have given them characters from our devotional life, then they grow up with those roots. Then it's okay, right? Then they must say shlokas. Of course, we have the Maha Mantra. That's the first shloka that we teach. But also there are many other shlokas when uttered in a everyday regular practice with good pronunciation. Times of India is listing these benefits. It improves memory and concentration. It reduces stress levels, relaxes the mind and the body. Please Google it up. Times of India has mentioned these benefits of children reciting shlokas every day. And we don't know ourselves. Yeah, how are we going to help the children learn? But it's important that now we do it. Yeah, for devotees, it helps us, especially the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra helps us to connect with Krishna, increases our faith, the children's faith, and makes the spiritual teachings very authoritative. Authoritative in the sense, you all know that when a child sees something in the textbook, you say anything. The child, what does he say? Mere textbook mein hai ye. This is there. So whatever you say is not accepted. Whatever is there in the textbook is accepted. So similarly, when you teach them shlokas, when you tell them this is in the Bhagavad Gita, their faith increases because this is a book. They look at it as a book, as another book, but which is a lot more timeless in that sense. Yes, the wisdom is timeless. Finally, the songs. Here, I sometimes feel extremely sorry for things like this. I feel really disappointed when parents become so excited to teach children like this, to dress like this and dance on those kind of songs and make those kind of facial expressions. They feel proud. And tomorrow, if something wrong happens, because, when the children grow up and they have the different interests and inclinations, and you say, Arey, this is not right, you shouldn't do. Why should I not? I have been brought up like this, right? On the contrary, just look at this. Why is this appealing? Because these are based on certain stronger, deeper cultures. Right? So it's it might feel that we are बहुत outdated. ये तो आजकल के बच्चे तो करते ही नहीं ये सब. Think about it. If you're accepting the fact that आजकल के बच्चे ऐसे करते ही हैं, then be ready for other things as well. Then be ready that okay, आजकल के बच्चों में ये जो qualities आपने list किए अभी नहीं है. Right? You will not find. It's not possible to have the cake and eat it too. This is saying in English, right? So which means what? That you can't say I want this also and that also and this also and that also. It doesn't happen. It doesn't work that way. You will have to be very clear as to what do you want. What is it that I'm looking for? Correct? So in this period, is what we are saying, 0 to 6 period. What do we expect our children to learn? Simple things like proper eating habits. Very important eating habits. Again, much depends on what kind of food we all present as a choice to the child. Then the second one is respectful towards the elders, towards the temple paraphernalia, books. These are simple things that we want our children to learn in this age group. There's cleanliness. Of course, in this age group, children are very dirty. But that's okay. Children, they don't know what's, they put their hands in their mouth all the time and their nose maybe, they're like that. But it's our responsibility to keep on telling how that Krishna is very clean. So you have to be clean if you have to go near Krishna. So they learn that, okay, I have to be clean. I'm not able to because I'm small. That's okay. They will learn. But they need to learn, yes, cleanliness. And small, little small things they need to learn. Not as a burden, but to keep their own clothes. Yes, little clothes. And they like it. Small children, they enjoy doing such things. If they're given in a proper way. Not that, what do? We burden them up with so much of ABCD. Yes, I've seen parents where children are as small as maybe they're just going to UKG, but they have so much homework, and the parents feel that I say now homework. So much homework the child has done that I cannot give the child any more work. It's ridiculous. Yes, we don't want to burden the child with so much of ABCD. The child will learn, eventually will learn, and will learn at the right age also. But along with that, the child needs to do things which are a part of your surrounding. Yes, your family, your surrounding. The devotional activities that you engage the child in, they will go a long way. So Prabhupada here compares it with fire. He says when a child or anybody burns with fire, will the fire say, "Arey, this is a child, I was not burning"? Does the fire think like that? Never. The fire will burn irrespective of who the person is. Similarly, any small activity that you're engaging your child in, Krishna, that's taken as big positive. Yeah, like this particular nectar drop is saying. Does anybody want to read this? Read.
Consciousness, knowingly or unknowingly, will have its effect. Children who bow down or try to vibrate Krishna's name or clap during Kirtana are actually accumulating so much in their bank account of Krishna consciousness. Fire will act whether one is a child or an adult. If a child touches fire, the fire will burn. The fire does not say, "Oh, I will not burn him. He's a child and does not." No, the fire will always act as fire. Similarly, Krishna is the supreme spirit, and if a child partakes in Krishna consciousness, he will be affected. Krishna will act whether the child knows or does not.
Yes, thank you. So what we are suggesting is engage your children at home with something little, not necessary that you have to come to temple. Yes. What does it give? Can somebody say that what is the benefit of engaging children? This is something which is, I don't know where that account is, where it is going in a spiritual bank account. I can't see. But what are the other qualities that you think will the child develop when the child engages in simple devotional spiritual practices at home? Can somebody tell me? Yes.
Channelize their energy in positive direction.
Very nice. It will channelize so much energy they have, children, in a positive direction. Very true. What else?
Obedience and discipline.
Very nice. Obedience and discipline that we're looking for. That is there. What else? Yes.
Love for Krishna will develop in them.
Yeah. Attachment for Krishna develops, which is so difficult. Yes. Which is so difficult. People are going to, yogis are going to Himalayas to develop that. Yes. But here at home, children can develop this when they're doing little things. And remember, they're not disconnected. What you want from your children in terms of their qualities is not disconnected from giving them devotional life. They're not two different things. Don't think that मेरे को अपने बच्चे को संत बाबा नहीं बनाना है. No, we're not talking about it at all. Yes, they will excel in their academics. They will excel in their other skills if they have this in place. If they have a very nice character in terms of the devotional and action. What else? Anything else? Discipline, yes. Channelizing energies, yes. Love for Krishna, yes. What else? Values, yes. Absolutely. Can you elaborate a little more? Success.
Yeah, so probably then they would be probably more honest.
Absolutely. Very nice. Honest and truthful. Yes.
Previous bad karmas will be reduced.
Yeah, that we spoke about. Also their karmas, it's true that it won't be so bad. What else? Anything else that you can think of?
In the future, their life will be more balanced.
Very good. Very good. The biggest, somebody spoke about emotional intelligence. Who spoke? Who said? Emotionally, I want my child to be more, you said. So if that is what we're looking for, emotionally more balanced, that is a very important quality that we want. And that happens when we connect them with Krishna. We connect them with devotional act. We connect them with a routine. Yes, routine is something which is so important. And this age group, there is a routine that children are looking for. I said that, liberal parenting or neglectful parenting is when there is no routine. Neglectful parenting, they don't care. Liberal parenting also don't care. Yes, authoritarian parenting, mere moods. Yes, today, no, whatever, you have to do this because I'm telling. But when you are connecting them with Krishna through all the stories, shlokas and beautiful music, yes, kirtan, when you're doing that, what are you doing? You're developing a mood, an attitude where they're willingly doing and they're willingly in a routine. Some days here and there they will say, I don't want to. That's okay. But by and large, they're there in one routine. Yes, and that will surely act. But as they grow up, 7 to 12 is the age of roles and responsibilities, where your responsibility increases. It's not that it reduces, but unfortunately, a lot of parents, they feel, well, now bache bade ho gaye. In that sense, they're going to school whole day. They're coming back and then again you're sending them to coaching. Whole day practically they're out. Yes, you calculate 9 to 10 hours they're outside. How are you going to pass your values? There is no time. Yes, they learn. Where do they learn? Right from sitting in the school bus. It begins, or a school van. And school van, the driver, what does he play? All kinds of music he plays. Yes, all the latest Bollywood numbers are played. So if the child comes back home singing and you wonder, I take so much care. But the child is humming to all those tunes. And sometimes parents feel that it's okay. You also hum with the child. Yes. Then you feel there is no problem in it. And then the school where you have the whole world. These children from different backgrounds are coming there and they're giving in everything. I was just sharing that, I saw a video recently of a school where grade 5 students, they are caught smoking. Grade 5 students. And how are they doing this? There is a deserted building behind the school where they're taking turns to go. So there are 3 people there, standing there, and one by one they go here. And there is one in the center who is reporting who's coming, who is so horrible. This video went viral. And then the school authorities, they took charge. All that happened, but too late. It's too late. So there is pornography, there is smoking, there is all kinds of rubbish they eat. All that is going. We expose our children to so many things. If we don't have a proper environment at home, then imagine their plight. Yes, we need an environment of what? Of so much love with discipline. This Leeladhar Gupta story that I told you, that child would have rebelled as soon as he went to Jaipur. He would have been happily watching all the movies. Why do you think he paused and he walked out? Because there was not just discipline, there was love. It is easy to reject discipline, but it is not easy to reject. Right? It is easy to reject discipline. So if you are going to bring up your children with a stick all the time, children will first opportune moment they will reject. They will throw it away, they'll break it. But now they cannot. And that's what is necessary at home. And that's not possible if you're not available at all. Yes, in the first place. If you're busy, neglectful or liberal, busy, it simply is busy. You will be not available for them. Then how will they handle these situations? They don't know what is right, what is wrong. Right? Becoming relevant and important in their lives. Relevant means that this is what the father was relevant to his life. Relevant was completely available for the child, and also relevant in the sense that don't shoo away the child because you are in a different world and the child is in a different world. Yes, then what we say is a generation gap. So it's a myth. Generation gap is over. What should I say? It's height. It's exaggerated. It's hyped because of this. The problem is this, that we have not allowed entry into our world, or we have not gone into their world. We have not accepted them. They have not accepted us. Not because there is a generation gap naturally, because they're so much younger to us. No, our centers are different. Hamara uddesh, goal is something else. Their goal is something else. And we don't mind till a certain point. Then suddenly we feel, oh, the child is not talking to me at all. It's too late. It's only in teenage that parents start feeling, मेरे साथ बात ही नहीं करते, घर पे रहता ही नहीं है. Yes, when he was small and he was at home, आप घर पे थे. Yes, how much time did you all spend together? What does it mean, quality time? Doesn't mean that all of you sit together and watch a movie. Many times that's spent, we are spending quality time with our children. No. We're doing something together is not you're engaging in one another passive activity. It could be that you're doing stories, reading together, you're actually doing something together, simple things like painting, drawing, rangolis together, or even doing gardening together. Such nice activities are there where you're engaging with the child. Yes, and that's when you become relevant. Therefore, don't ever confuse discipline and punishment. I've already mentioned this. Yes, punishing to a certain is okay. Punishing in what sense? That okay, you have a set rule. And agar ye nahi hota, to ye nahi hota. Ye nahi hota. This is a natural consequence in the house. That's one thing. That's necessary. There's again a rule which is consistently being followed at home, right? Which gives them a routine. And routine where I have seen a lot of parents don't bother if the child doesn't wake up on time or sleep on time. Right? This is okay till the age of 6. I didn't bring this point till the age of 6. Because till the age of 6, the child does still have, certain bodily abnormality, in the sense that, abnormal time to sleep, hungry, colic, all that is there. So it's still okay. They need more sleep also. But once they reach this age, how important it is to set this habit for life. Those children who don't have this habit now at this age, of sleeping early, they will never develop. Very hard for them to develop. They find night time, and night time we know all nonsense happens. All kinds of habits that they can get into in their colleges is during time. When you're a late night, you late parties and late this and late that. That's the there are the things, for example, I can tell you of a case in my university where I'm working. There is this boy who refused to come to classes at all. And we called his parents. Like, what's going on? Already the semester is coming to an end and your child has not attended even 10 classes in all. So this child must be how many years old? Just passed his 12th and joined our university. So he's 18 years old, just an adult, just on the brink of an adult. And this parent was sharing. I was shocked. First, of course, she found in his bag pack of cigarettes. So she said, he smokes. Now, what can I do? I said, okay. And I was thinking that she has not moved to share, but she was not sharing. And I feel very awkward. We will share this, what all she found in his. When she started weeping and sharing what all she found one day, when he returned home, something like 2 in the night, drunk. That's when, and we feel that these are all extreme cases. No, these are happening, and because I'm dealing with children day in, day out of different age groups in the university, I know how much parents are troubled. They're totally lost. They don't know what to do in this situation. That the child was good. Yes, they tell, ma'am, this child specifically, I can tell, he was playing mridanga. He was not a devote, he was playing the South Indian mridanga. He knows how to play the veena. He is the first in the debating club of his school, and he was also the topper in terms of academics. All these 4 things. And the parent suddenly feels, what happened? And the child is now saying, he actually turns and tells his mother, you made me do all this, no? Now I will do what I do. He's actually turned around and telling this to his mother. And the mother doesn't know where her little boy lost. Where did this boy lost? He's no more different. Now he's almost an adult. He's having so much of grudge against his parents. So much of grudge. So the one thing I can say is when you bring up your children in a devotional environment, you are an example. You are yourself not indulging so much. Then your children are grateful. They develop gratitude. For sure, they develop gratitude. If not anything else. They may not be fantastic IITians and this and that. I don't know. That all depends on so many other things. But they'll be great. And that's one quality I'm sure all of us feel so happy, isn't it? When we see children are grateful to you, or anybody for that. They express their gratitude. You feel so much warmth comes into you. That yeah, this is what I want everybody to do. And that's so much missing. So please understand that this age group requesting that take care of how they're growing up. Finally, very little on homeschooling. I don't know how many of you all know about it. So homeschooling is something where actually we keep the children at home and we school them. We don't send them to schools, but we teach them everything at home. I have homeschooled my own children, and there are some fantastic examples of homeschooled children who are free to do all that. Later they want to get into IIT, they want to do medicine, they can do anything they want. They can even get into normal universities after whatever time you want to homeschool. Because homeschooling is legal in India. You can teach your children at home. It's not illegal or anything. But we have to answer these questions. Whether for me it is feasible in the sense that do I have the time? Yes, I need to give time. So one of the parents definitely has to devote time. Mostly it's the mother. So is it feasible? Second, am I equipped? So I know of some parents who don't want to send their children to school because, oh, children, bad association, this, that, but they keep at home and they don't do anything. It's equally bad, right? Then the child is totally frustrated, doesn't know anything. We don't want to do that. We definitely want to give proper academic skills to the children. They should be at the reading level where they are supposed to be. Yes, it should not be like the child is 8 years old and still barely reading a sentence. Then we have failed in our homeschooling. That cannot happen. And is it effective in the sense is it useful? Yes. We have a lot of examples of where homeschooling is extraordinarily effective and contributing to the society, to the country as a whole. So in ISKCON especially, there are two famous examples that are often quoted of homeschooled children. So there is Radhika Raman Prabhu and Gopal Hari Prabhu are brothers, and they were homeschooled by their mother, who's basically from Rajasthan, but they moved to US, and there the mother saw that it's a very bad environment, and she decided to homeschool them at home, homeschool them. And in Boise, America, she homeschooled them, and these children, they grew up so well that the older children got into Oxford University and did his PhD, was one of the youngest students to complete his PhD from the Oxford University. The younger one followed suit. He also did his PhD, also from I don't remember the name. But then both of them are very established, academicians, plus very cultured devotees. It's very nice. So this is something which the last bit talks about. I don't want to dwell too much on it. We'll read this last nectar drop. Anybody wants to read this last?
Just like these children, they are very fortunate. They are not ordinary children. Otherwise, they would not have gotten this chance at chanting and dancing before translating. They are not ordinary children. Parents just take care, very good care, that they may not fall down. They have got the chance. Now train them to complete this Krishna consciousness. That is the duty of father and mother.
Thank you. So that's our duty as father and mother. I'll stop here, but I can take questions if you have any. We're always towards the end. That's okay. That's okay. Thank you very much. So if you have any questions, you may please ask. Yes, ma'am. Actually, we haven't covered teenage today, and we want to do that in another session, because teenagers is a different world altogether. It's a different age, different world, different behavior, and we need to deal with them very, very sensitively. It's one thing is to understand that their psychological situation is different, physiological situation is different, the different hormones that are being secreted. So we have to acknowledge that, not to deny that and say that, "Arey, you were fine, what happened to you now?" Not like that. We have to acknowledge. But we'll have another session definitely on this. Okay. Yeah. Anybody else? And yes.
How about if parents have two very different parenting styles? For example, mother, more on grooming on the devotional side of the child. The father being an authoritarian, showing all the fancy stuff. It's a little difficult in a scenario. How do we deal with it?
Yeah, agree. That's the reason why I mentioned that, in case of liberal or authoritarian parenting styles, this could happen at home where the child is exposed to a lot of tiffs between the parents. and the child just takes advantage. How does the child take advantage? In front of the father, they are one. In front of the mother, they are one. Yes. So in front of the mother, they take their bead back. Yes. And in front of the father, they might perhaps want to tell what they did in school and how many marks they got, and or hide their marks. All this they will do. The best way to go about it is, I think you should have a dialogue as adults between yourselves as often as possible. Yes, on this particular aspect. I understand. I understand. I know this is very true. That's why I was very happy to see so many fathers here. Correct. Because most often parenting is considered like, you learn all that. Page number, you go by the page number. I will do what I want to. I know how to bring up children. That's how the mood is, right? So very thankful that you all have come here. As fathers, you all have come here. And the best way is, it's not possible that he will listen to you. It's not easy. But what's the second best option is that connect him to these fathers here who would probably help him understand.
Like a simple example, his father from home theater. Father says, "I'll come back. And I play home theater." The child does not want to sleep. He says, "Keep the light on. I want to come and wake up."
Yeah.
And at 4 o'clock this morning, he wakes up and says, "I want the theater on." So I don't know. There's a very different.
I agree, because what is happening is the father is competing to buy the love from the child, and the competition happens in a very wrong sense. Yes, we compete for the child's love by giving presents, by giving such promises, and because we don't have time to give, so we give all this, and we give time in a very wrong way, like this, by promising. So that's what I'm saying, that it's clearly not a great practice. It's not a great practice in the sense that it's okay as long as it's limited to, say for instance, the child is little older in the sense even between 7 to 12, and they want to watch something together. It's okay. They want to watch something which is safe for the child. You can suggest, right? So maybe you should keep a time for watching. Maybe you should keep a list of what you want to watch. And you can also give suggestions like, in the school, I have received these concerns about the child. If you are feeling that they're watching the wrong kind of movies, then maybe you should express that. But always have a dialogue. And as far as possible, I request all parents mostly, and I also try and implement this as much as possible at home, is not to have arguments, fights in front of the children. And this is something we have to very consciously practice. Because as adults, we do have differences, but our children are not in a position to understand that, right? And for us, it may not affect them. The next day, we're fine. The next morning, we're ready to go. We didn't forget about it, or maybe little grudges there. We run off to our mother's house. I don't know where the husbands go, but they go somewhere, right? But they go. And we have our own ways of coping with stuff. But what about children? They don't have that, right? Especially when they're small. And these are samskaras. These are very strongly imprinted in their minds. So please try.
Trying to set up rules in the child's mind without being authoritative. Because once or twice I'm telling and I can become an authoritative. That is what I do. Yeah. So I think that's
I suggest to many parents, and I used to do these trainings in school also for the teachers, on something called as non-violent communication. I don't know how many of you all have heard this, but this is a very interesting tool that has come up. Okay? Non-violent communication is a way of communicating your needs to the other person, whoever it is. It could be your husband in your case. It could be your child in your case. Yes, but there is a way to express. And the way to express here, I won't, of course, get into the details because this is a fledged stream or a school of thought in itself, but to just touch is when you begin with acknowledging how you're feeling at the moment. Okay, for instance, when your child disobeys you, first time, second time, third time, fourth time, how do you feel? Okay, the feeling should be given a proper name. Is it frustration? Yes. Is it simple plain anger? Is it disappointment? Similarly with you, if you try to speak to your husband many times about this, or you have, maybe the first time you've spoken, it didn't help. And what do you think? How do you feel? Helpless? Yeah, maybe helpless, maybe. So that feeling is something we need to acknowledge, capture. Give it a name. Try this. And I'm just giving you a very first level understanding of non-violent communication. But the moment you give it a name, go behind and check the need. Why is this feeling there? Because there is some need that is not fulfilled. What is that need? Your need is what? Can you identify your need? What is that need? Similarly, what is your need? Your need could be that you want your child to spend time more in something else. That's the need. It's as simple as that. Similarly with you. You want your child to develop a sense of responsibility. Correct? That's what, but you have to figure that out. Okay. Now, the third step comes when you express it. How do you express it? First, we acknowledge our feelings. Second step, you find out what's the need behind this feeling. Third step is how are you expressing this. So you express, the moment you say to your husband, you never understand. It's gone, it's over. Then the husband says, yeah, I don't care. But the moment you say, I feel helpless. I feel unsuccessful. I feel. So then the husband will ask, why? Why do you feel? Similarly, you say, I feel very disappointed. Then the child is like, oh. Because he might even think. Why? Because you are taking the onus. You are not thrusting it upon the other person. This non-violent communication works very well between whoever. It could be your friends, it could be husband and wife, it could be parent, child. But it's important that we develop. It may take time. But it's a very interesting, as the name suggests, non-violent communication. Otherwise, every other communication becomes violent. And violent how? We scream. Like what you said, I scream. I lose it. You might feel helpless. Right? And husbands similarly might also feel very helpless. They can't cry. At times they feel that we can't even show our emotions. So it's important that we develop this. This tool is very interesting, very nice. So please explore more about non-violent communication. But how? Beginning with acknowledging. Similarly, your child is misbehaving. There might be something that's going on in the child. Figure that out. The child is not able to express it. Your husband is not able to express it. So what is it? Is the husband only trying to buy love and time with the child? It must be just that. The way that you told me that he waits, he says that, okay, wait, we'll watch home theater. He just wants to spend time with the child. And there is no other way that the father can think of. It's actually the intention may not be all that wrong. But when we explore that, and this is a practice, we need to really keep doing this. It's not easy. It's very easy to say this, and we might fail once, we might fail twice. But if we at least begin to practice this anywhere, it might come. So there is nothing else that is literally. So why not try this? Anything else?
It's self match their family. How to bring that culture of When we think about this, society.
Very nice question and very nice point. You see, you have rightly recognized, and all of us recognize, right? It's become so self-centered. Everybody is self-centered. To address this again, simply, I think the age is 0. As soon as the child is growing up, we begin to show the child selflessness. If you see, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the closest relationship in the material world that can be an example of true love. True love is something which the scriptures, they say there's no true love in this material world. This true love can be there only for God. That's what they explain. But if you have to give an example from the material world, for us to understand, the example is given of a mother with her child, and only till the age 1, not beyond that. Why? Because beyond age 1, the seed of expectations begin to grow. And with the seed of expectations, as they grow, our love also becomes more selfish. It's with a reason we are loving the child. But till 1, is there a reason? There's really no reason. So what I would say, the best way to develop this selflessness is to give so many examples of selflessness. When the child grows up like this, seeing the mother so selfless, it's such a huge impact. And it's not just the mother. There are so many people around the child that need to be an example. The father as well. How the father? How does the child see the father being selfless? The moment, the routine in our house is how the child comes back from work, the father comes back from work, throws his stuff, and sits in front of the TV with the remote. This is a very usual scene. Correct? Now, where is selflessness here? And what does he expect? Serve. Everybody is there to serve now. Yes? You bring food, you bring me water, you bring this. So what is the child learning? This is how I'm going to grow up also. If it is a boy, even worse. Because he knows that this is how my wife has to treat me. But where is selflessness coming here? When the father comes, the first thing that he does is he goes to the temple of the house. The mandir that is there of the house. Gives his pranam. Yes, and just says that now I have to now do this. So even if he's tired, and even if it's late, even if it is whatever, the father is putting somebody else first, not himself. Don't you think this is some impression on the child? As a young, as somebody really small, this creates a lot of impression on the child. And then, of course, engaging the child in other activities which are connecting the child to the society, our birthdays, how do we celebrate? The child celebrates the birthday by getting. What does a child feel on the birthday? King. He's like, sab log today, serve me. But how about helping the child, taking the child outside to do some charity on that day? And saying that, here you are, today you're so fortunate that you have all this. So why don't you share it with others? That's such a nice way of teaching the child that, yeah, I can actually think about others. Yes, so these are small practices which we need to consciously do. Does that satisfy you?
Sometimes, we feel the need to take some sometimes, because we expect how to differentiate that we are over-reacting to this feel, or we are, by neglecting it, we are over-relaxed. That is the balance.
Yeah, so it's a tricky situation to be in, where sometimes the children, they feel no pressure absolutely from the parents, so they don't perform anything, or they might be under a lot of pressure because the parents keep comparing. So how does a parent understand this? So in my experience, what I can share is comparison doesn't help much ever. Comparison doesn't help much. All of you might have seen this. Comparing children to especially their siblings, their own siblings, doesn't help. Comparing their to their classmates and all, none of that helps. But how do we keep role models then? Inspiration. Yes, there has to be something. We need to keep role models, or we need to help them understand what the good qualities are. So the way I have done always is to be objective about it, in the sense that appreciate the child, your child, when the child does something good. Appreciate. What we lack is there. Either we appreciate the child without without any specifics to it. So the child thinks he's there. But the moment you say that very specifically, I really noticed how focused you were when you were doing this. Irrespective of how that painting was. But if you tell, I saw how focused you were. So the child feels that aise nahi mere ko hawa mein. Then he is not just doing that for the sake of it, but really genuinely appreciate it. And then you also specifically note or point out some quality that you like in some other child. That's it. Again, a non-violent communication. Yes, that you have observed something and you're expressing that. I feel. You begin with that. I feel extremely inspired, or I feel amazed at how that child was sitting for so many hours without getting up. And your child says, immediately says, wo to khel ke aaya tha, wo to wo karke. He will try to put that child down. Yes. Express only what you feel. That I appreciate that, or I feel this. And then you express your need to the child. I think what works best is to be very honest and genuine, rather than beating around the bush and trying to manipulate. But all the same, sensitive, very sensitive. Comparison is not going to help. Correction in public is not going to help. So if you tell the child that, look how he was and how you are in front of everybody, so he will never ever think comparison is helping me. You are only putting the child down. But if your purpose is to give inspiration, the child will take inspiration. Does that help? Yes.
Somebody who's her friends are same age or class, they want to buy
I understand. But let me tell you that please don't say like that, it will not help. Please acknowledge how she is feeling. Begin with that. Now, if somebody calls you a liar, will you not be disappointed? You will be. You'll be extremely upset. Yeah, doesn't matter. But for her, she is also a child. Anybody else says, be it a child or forget about a grown-up, she's going to be hurt. So please acknowledge her feeling. Begin with saying that I understand that you're very hurt. The moment you start with this, the child's disappointment goes down. The moment you start with, aisa nahi hota hai, the child is, arey, aisa hua hai. Why are you saying that? Aisa hua hai, mere ko, they've said this to me. Or you say that it doesn't matter. It's mattering to the child. You can't say that. So please start with acknowledgement. A simple sentence that I know it can be very difficult. I know this must be so hurtful. Aise aapne bol diya hota, you see how the tables turn. Yes. You start with that. Don't think that you are pumping. That wo to pehle she is disappointed and I am disappointing her even. No. Say that really? That must have hurt you so much. You say that. And then she will cry. Then you say, what do you think we can do about it? Next conversation. You are an adult. Yes, but you are dealing with a child for whom that particular statement of this is very, very important. We can't disrespect that. Yes, and the child is growing up now. It's beyond, being very small. In fact, I have told so many times to siblings. We know this. There is one baby which is say 6 months old. Okay, and the older sibling is say 2.5, 3 years old. And what the 3-year-old does, goes and pinches the child. And what do? You go and scold the 3-year-old, right? And the 3-year-old is all the time saying that aap to mujhe pyar karte hain. This is a common typical statement that he makes. Now, how about understanding that the 3-year-old is acting because obviously he is losing attention from the parent. So how about turning to the 6-year-old and saying that, you don't let me give any attention to your brother. The 6-month is going to just, yes, is he going to understand anything? Nothing. But the 3-year-old is saying, she understands. This helps so much in counteracting the sibling rivalry. Otherwise, you're just making it even more. Correct? Similarly, your child is facing something. Acknowledge it. Tell the child. Accept it. Learn from it. Then they will learn to cope with it. But if they don't feel understood, how are they going to cope with it? Do you agree? Okay. Okay. Is he there? Outside. Okay. Actually, parenting, no detail is extra. Every detail is important. Okay. So let me take the same example that you have given. So you said that he wouldn't let you sit here. Had you spoken to him about this event today? That's too late. Yes. Prepare the child in the morning, or maybe even yesterday, or maybe a week ago. Yes. This is whatever. So that's not his problem. That's the first thing, right? Where you prepare the child in the sense that the child is also accepting it. I mean, obviously, the child has come back from school and wants to go home. Where is his mistake? Not his mistake. Okay. Second thing is, if you feel that the child is very impatient, there are sometimes you can trick the child. For example, I'll tell you something. Suppose you go to a mall and the child is impatient. He just wants that something. He just wants it. And you are trying your best not to be embarrassed in front of everybody and all that. The way I used to try sometimes, not too many occasions like that, but sometimes they want something to eat. I used to do magic. Now I'm going to do magic and sure it's going to come. And you say, hey, it's not working. Let me try again. So it looks very silly. These are things where the child is just looking at you. What happened to my mother? Yes, the child's attention is totally taken away from where it was. But yeah, I'm diverting the child not by denying it, not by saying that aisa nahi hota hai. Why are you doing like this? Yeah, I'm doing it because I I just want to do this. I just want to go home. I want to play, whatever that is. Yeah, don't deny it. The moment you deny it, you are taking the power away from yourself. But the moment you accept it, and you are now, distracting the child in many different ways, where you even say things, sometimes they're very silly, but I know as mothers, we are at our creative best. We can become very, very creative to distract the children. But we have to use that creativity in the most challenging situations when you feel that, Khatam, I am impatient now. I can't take this anymore. Most often it is that. Yeah, we lose it. We lose it. But at that time, if we have our calm, we are teaching two things to the child. One, yes, we are waiting. Wait for so long. You should go now. Otherwise, okay. Planning is, we can share a few things like time and again. All right. Yeah. Actually, in India, I feel that we really lack enough education on different kinds of children, different kinds of personality, different kinds of intelligence. Actually speaking, there are 8 types of intelligence, which are basic in a very broadly divided 8 types of intelligence. And one of them is called as interpersonal intelligence, where the child, mostly who do we call an intelligent child? The child who scores 99 on 100 in math. Yes, math numbers are there, so that child is intelligent. It's not true at all. This child who may score 99 on 100 in maths or even 100 on 100 in maths may not know how to, the moment he sees a grasshopper, goes around frantically screaming, or he might just not know how to handle certain emotions. Yes, it's not true that this is the only form of intelligence. So some children have a very high or interpersonal intelligence, where they work very well with people. Correct? There is nothing harm in it. There's no harm in it. And if we want to teach them something, we teach them in groups. We teach them with a buddy, with a partner. That works very well for that child. But as the child grows up, because your child is just 4 years old, there's hardly anything. How does that differ now? Why are we in such hurry? There is a prominent trait in every person, right? And her trait is to be a part of the group, not a leader. Why everybody has to be a leader? Then who will be the follower? It's not necessary at all. But gradually, we can see how the child gradually develops all those other traits in different quantities, how much ever necessary. For example, this child might become a fantastic team player later in whatever job he or she takes up. Yes, she'll take up a fantastic team player. They're not easy to find. Who can work best in teams, who will perform the best in teams. And then, when the corporate world recognizes her, and you will wonder what happened in school, that they never thought she was a leader. That's okay. It's not necessary at all. Gradually. So it's okay. Your teacher might say so many things, but they have to say, but you know your child. gradually, and always acknowledge, always figure out, speak to the child. Don't ever say, you should do this. You should go and speak, you will traumatize her even more. Always send her with somebody. It's okay. Gradually they will change. You know, in our school, we used to do this. We know that some children were shy. They wouldn't come on the stage at all. But how did we manage that? We managed that by saying that this is an event where two people will go on stage. Okay? And this part, this person will speak, this part, this person will speak. Works perfectly well with third graders. We did this. Second graders, third graders. So they both comfortably holding hands, they went onto the stage, they spoke. And by the end of the year, gradually, you know, we realized that, okay, now you have to do this part here, you have to do this part here. Here again, doing it gradually. They overcome that, you know, that fear, inhibition that is there. But if you thrust it upon them, you know, and if you tell in front of them, even then, yes, sensitiveness is very important. Any other? Yes. Very wrong. Yeah, no, it's no humiliation of an adult in public. We do that to teachers. Yes, we speak about teachers in front of our children, and we expect our children to respect the teachers. That's not possible. That's not going to happen. Similarly, if the father insults the mother in front of the child will never love the father. One simplest way of the father earning the child's love is to love the mother. Love and respect the mother. That's a very simple way. Because all the child needs to see is who is respecting and loving my mother. Yes. And similarly, any other adult, if the child is seeing that you can humiliate like this, what kind of samskara are you giving? It's a very wrong. So how do you correct this? You're asking, how does one, if a child has seen this already, then you please accept it is wrong. You tell the child this is wrong. You walk out from that place. Keep the child away from such places. If that's not possible, then you will have to have a dialogue with the child post the event. Saying that whatever happened, I was very uncomfortable. How about you? The child might, what happened to my mother? Yes. That's child say, "I'm very ajeeb sa laga. Bahut ajeeb." Well, definitely. So I feel very uncomfortable when somebody is being humiliated. You have to acknowledge your feeling. The child will also come up with this and get more clarity about his or her feelings. You know, तब तक confused था वो क्या हो रहा है? And if mother says ये normal है, then the child will also normalize it. But if the mother makes it a point to have a dialogue, then the child will understand, oh, this is wrong and my feeling was correct. That this is. That's it. Should we stop? You can ask, but there are 3 others hand raised as soon as you raised. Sorry, you can ask. Please ask. So, I mean, they pull their hairs. Yeah, it should not go to that extent. I mean, to some extent, it's okay. We all fought. No, I mean, I fought with my siblings also, but it always used to be like 1, 2, 1, 2, like that. You know, you give me 1, I'll give you back. 1, 1, 1. It goes on, goes on, goes on. Till there it was. It was not like pulling each other's hair and pushing each other. No, it didn't go to that extent, and it shouldn't go to that extent. I think you should have some consequence for that. You know, because they're big enough to understand. So a consequence, you understand, right? So if anybody who, or both, you know, whoever raises hands and whoever does this, otherwise you're a constant referee, no, at home. Blowing whistle. Yes, you don't want to do that. There has to be a set of clear rules that if this happens, then what is the consequence? Give them one clear something like washing utensils, cleaning the house. This has to be there. Otherwise, it becomes very ugly. And then also try to keep bringing out the aspects of devotional life, stories, and things like that, where we see how siblings live with each other. Of course, they'll make fun, because now they're old. Like if I tell my children now, just see how the Pandavas, Yudhishthira and Arjuna, and they say, I'm not Yudhishthira. Yes, they say, I'm not Prahlad Maharaj. They will say that openly now, because now they're old. They understand these things. They do. But it's okay. So you can give a consequence to that. That there is no, it doesn't have to go till here. Till here it is okay. You can give them. Till here it is okay, till here it is not. Yes. Anybody else? Yes, Manish. How old is she? All of us are struggling to inculcate this quality of gratitude among children. One practice that I followed for some time was to write a gratitude diary. Right. Sometimes this little time you give. And, sit with the child if you want, or you give the child freedom. And say that every day can you write some 5 sentences on what you're grateful. She will give the child. Okay. One is this gratitude diary, but the other is again tricking them by also saying that like my son once had a fight with his friend, and he came back saying that so furious. So I said, I think you should not talk with him for life. And he looked at me, itna bhi nahi. So I tricked him. I said that, okay, then what? Because he was so angry, I overplayed it. So you try doing that. Or there are actually these ways of tricking, very sensitively have to be, very sensitively trick them. But the point is that we have to make it clear that it may not be all that bad, the way you're imagining. It may not be all that bad also. When my children were small, I would, if there's any food wasted on their plate, I would say that, see, every grain here on your plate is screaming to go to Krishna. So you better eat. So this worked, okay, then. But you can't use the same trick now. Now they say, I think this can go somewhere else also. Why only to Krishna? They can say so many things, they say. So it doesn't always work. Age relevance should be there. Yeah, age relevance tricking should be there. But I think when your child is 11, 12, they are pretty sound in their intelligence, they understand. I show videos on people in different parts of the world. So once I show very touching videos, which are very, very sad, and in the sense, sad in what sense? Sad in the sense that children are living in very difficult conditions, and how they are making use of that opportunity also. And it comes out as a successful story, story of success from the totally rural backgrounds, deprived backgrounds, how they have grown up. So I keep showing them certain videos like these, talking to them about that. I think that has gone a long way. And then in certain months, like for example, in the month of Kartik, my son took a vow that this month, he will not even once crib about anything that he doesn't. Not one day. So then it's their goal. Now it's not your. Slowly make it their watching. Right? that they have. That's so common. Yeah. They always live in the future or in the past. They're never in the present. Yes. So yeah, it's typical of a certain age group. To some extent, we have to go with it, but go with it in what sense? Keep telling them. Keep telling them that I feel grateful. I feel grateful that I have this, and I feel grateful for what I have. So check that also whether you are expressing your gratitude more often. Yes. Okay. Should we stop? Sorry. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that. We'll do a separate session for teenagers too, because I'm sure that takes.
So let's first thank Dr. Pushpali Mataji because she came from the other side of Bangalore. We took about 2 hours to reach her. Very much on the way. So let us chant the Krishna mantra and for her lovely. Hare Krishna. Hare